This is Jeff with Alpha Media Group. I'm here with Matt Venema from Elite Medical Training. Today, we're going to be talking about entrepreneurship. How are you, Matt?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, good. So give us a little bit of background for the audience here. How did you get started? First of all, how did you get started on being a first responder? Give us a background on your career, if you could.
Okay. I grew up in a public safety military family. I needed service, just kind of was what we were called upon, and I felt that from a very young age. Was heavily involved in organized sports. That was my passion as a kid. And then that translated into high school. I got the opportunity with some of my other buddies that I was playing football with to join what was called the Explorer program, the fire service. And I realized the fire service is very much like a football team as far as working together, camaraderie, all of the awesome things that I really enjoy about life were present there. And that's what really got me excited about the fire service. And then from there, I was 16 since 2002. I started professionally in public safety as a first responder. 2004, when I turned 18 after I graduated high school, I started volunteering, actively working as a firefighter, realizing that's something I really enjoyed and pursue full time with all my effort. It became an EMT for a few years, went to college, everything that I needed for fire science, become a professional fireman, paramedic school, and now I've been professionally for 17 years, coming up on 15 years, I believe, as a paramedic. So I'll be doing the first responder thing for a little while, and that rolled into some opportunities, which have become Elite Medical Training.
Gotcha. So you've been working as a paramedic firefighter for a while. What did you find about your career that was expected, and what did you find that was unexpected? Give us a couple examples if you could.
I think the expectations are extremely high. So as far as answering something that would be unexpected, that's kind of our unexpected is daily, because you never know what you're going to get, what call is going to hit. And the expectations are pretty clear cut, pretty high, as well as the standard the public will hold you to, right? Because you're calling on your worst day and expecting someone to show up and solve whatever problem it is that you have. And I'm just going to kind of throw one more in here, is that that's kind of the beautiful thing that's really helped prepare me for entrepreneurship. As we all know, entrepreneurship is nonstop problem solving. And as a firefighter and paramedic running emergencies, a lot of them are high acuity critical things. You need quick judgment on, you need quick assessment, as we call triage, where you're prioritizing and where you're going to put your efforts in what order. So critical thinking, quick decision making, you have to be extremely assertive. And all of those things translate very well into entrepreneurship. As far as some of the unexpected stuff, some of the calls, some of the things you just wouldn't imagine you could see, but you will. I spent about 10 years working in the city of Stockton. So I think in the first 2 years there, I saw more than most people probably see in a 4-year career. Many other places across the country. One of the bigger unexpected things is probably the schedule. Like, oh, this is great. I'm going to do an awesome job and have a lot of fun. Ride around in a big red truck, all these awesome things you can see as a kid, all the coolest, funnest tools, you get to help people, all that stuff is awesome. I was like, oh man, you actually get held hostage quite a bit. So you realize the work schedule could be so daunting. So that's kind of one of the unexpected. It's like, oh wow, and then you throw a family and some kids in the mix, and then like you think you're on top of the world one moment, and all of a sudden you sprinkle that in scheduling and entrepreneurship. It can be a handful. You really got to be very dialed in. So it keeps me on my toes all the way around.
So you described a couple scenarios there. One is working in your career, and another one is being a parent, being a family man. We're both family men. We have kids, we have wives, and there's so much that we can plan, but there's so much that goes unplanned. I've told people, because my background is as a behavioral therapist, so I'm going to give you a little rehearsal on my resume here. Is I've written programs for kids. I got trained with kids. I grew up raised in a daycare. Mom ran a daycare. I have younger siblings. And then I had my own kids and realized, man, I wasn't trained. Nothing prepares you like until you're actually thrust in the situation. So a little peace of mind to parents out there. I've had as much professional training as probably the top maybe 5 or 10% of parents out there because it's been my lifelong career. I've now taught thousands of students, worked a lot with kids, and I still feel like sometimes, man, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I know what I'm doing, but I don't know what I'm doing because nothing's going to prepare you for some of the questions. The kids walking into the room at 2:30 in the morning, Dad, where do babies come from? I'm like, it's 2:30 in the morning. Your mom's not here. I'm scared. Like, I don't want to answer this question. Wait till mom comes home, you know? And I'm like, wait, you don't feel like this professional. Like, okay, this isn't textbook. This is real life. And when we deal with real life situations, I don't think anything could prepare us more or reinforce more entrepreneurship than something like your career or being a family man, because it comes down to being good at solving problems. Entrepreneurs are one thing, it's professional problem solvers. That's something we cannot delegate. Can't say, okay, well, you took over here, you're my partner, you solve all the problems. That would be nice. That doesn't work that way. You know, your wife, okay, you be wife and dad, you be mom and dad this week. I don't need to deal with any problems. So problems are always going to happen. And I tell people as they grow in business, it doesn't get easier. I'm paraphrasing one of the people I follow is Bruce Lee. You don't pray for things to get easier, you get stronger. And as kids get older, I keep getting told about these years, right? As they get older and older, it's like, it's different types of challenges.
Different, more expensive problems.
That's right. That's right. So as a first responder, I couldn't think of something personally that's going to prepare you more for entrepreneurship, because you don't know what you're going to go into. And we've really structured our business around, I brought to my team, I said, okay, well, how many of our clients have problems? And they're kind of looking at me like, okay, it's another one of Jeff's trick questions here. Ryan got it. Ryan goes, all of them. Well, otherwise, why would they hire us? I said, exactly. We are there to solve problems for clients. So every client has a problem. We avoid problem clients, not clients with problems. There's a difference. So clients with problems are ideal. Those are the people we want to work with, but there's just problem people. So have you found that you've stepped into like a situation business-wise that, man, I just didn't know how to solve this. I didn't know what to do. I had to lean on my resources of other people. I stepped into something that was so unexpected. I had to take a step back and say, okay, how am I going to solve this problem? Because it's not like something that you were prepared for in your training. You got your truck all loaded. I give people the example of loading up a paramedic truck. You never know what you're going to step into. So just bring everything with you, right? Even in the service industry, you don't know what's going to be on the job. You don't know if you need a screwdriver, a hammer. So just bring it all, right? So have you found that there's a situation that really hits you as an example of like, I did not know how to solve this one, even though you had all your training?
As a first responder or on the entrepreneur side?
Well, give me one example on the first responder side, if you could. Like you've stepped into a situation and it just felt like you're up against the impossible.
I ran quite a few, especially as a brand new paramedic on one system. So I was 21 years old to lead the authority on any and all emergency in a major urban city. So you had to handle we had a lot of called MCIs, multi-casualty incidents, multiple shootings, things like that. You'd have to triage and mitigate. So those could be a little overwhelming, but was able to, with my resources, delegate and handle those. I've been fortunate enough. I've had some extremely challenging calls, but I've been able to get through it, become stronger, become better. I become more poised the higher the stakes in the situation, which is fortunate for me. I think I was just kind of made for this job. And that's obviously evolved organically. That didn't just entirely happen overnight. I think on the entrepreneur side, I've also been fortunate that I've had plenty of unexpected things, but that background has really translated too, because we can't accept no for an answer, or I can't do it, or sorry, I know you called for help, but I can't help you. There isn't much of that, right? That's unacceptable. So, quit and can't aren't in our vocabulary. You just got to get it done, improvise, adapt, and overcome. So you figure out a way to get it done, whether you need to lean on resources. On an emergency scene, resources are limited. You don't have a lot of time to phone for help, etc. So you got to figure it out and make it happen. That's helped me so much in entrepreneurship. I really think one of the dead ends I've hit, or the struggles, let's say in speed bumps and entrepreneurship, is marketing. So many people dislike sales and all that goes with it. And I was the same way in technology. That's what led me to you guys with AMG. And I'm very grateful, because that's definitely beyond my scope of limitations. When we start getting into technology, start getting into SEO, marketing, I could spell some of those words on those letters, but that's kind of the extent of my knowledge at that point. Right, that's when I do fun stuff.
Well, I appreciate that. Things go better as a team, right? We have our different lanes that we stay in, but I grew up hearing this lie, like the lie of self-made millionaire. I don't think there's a bigger crock of a title than that, because no one makes it alone. There's no self-made. We are conditioned by our situations around us. We have families, we have wives, we have clients. You don't make it alone. So there's no self-made in this. It's learning to work interdependently. Hey, he's got skills, she's got gifts, he's got talents. We work together. But on that, you and I listen to some of the same folks to keep ourselves motivated. We listen to people like Jocko, or we listen to Goggins, and people say, well, do you like David Goggins? I'm like, I'm not sure if I like him, but that's not my point of listening to the guy. Actually, I'm pretty certain I don't like him. So David, if you're listening to this, it's not about liking you, brother. It's about staying motivated. And he's doing his job of, like, kind of wakes me up. It's like a morning cup of coffee. On the basis of kind of the way those guys teach, because I know you and I have a similar approach to business, give me in a word or two, for somebody maybe out there that's starting in entrepreneurship, starting in business. Give me a word or two that you would describe an entrepreneur and define it. Like, in a word, an entrepreneur really has to be good at blank. What would you describe?
There's so many words. I'll try to narrow it down. Like, one of the first two that come to mind is servant leadership for me. And we know leadership is all encompassing of leading from the front, setting the example, setting the tone, right? Which is so many things that we're in control of, with the culture of our business, our interaction with our client, the expectations, right? That's going to elaborate so many different things. The expectations, the quality of product or service we provide to our clients. I would say that discipline, all these really, really not fun descriptive words, right, of leadership, discipline, but all really just necessary things. I would say discipline, leadership, and then just mental fortitude and toughness. You can't be somebody that's easily overwhelmed or easily stressed, or somebody that shuts down. So if you're going to enter into entrepreneurship and you have a decent amount of anxiety as is in your normal day-to-day job, think long and hard about it, and really do a lot of, I would say, self-development. It's probably one of the best things you can do. That's how you become a better leader. You develop better discipline. And again, I didn't like you said, I've got this through multiple people, and so much of this I've stolen from other folks like Goggins, like Jocko. Dave Ramsey puts out an incredible amount of servant leadership and entrepreneurship as well, in the culture that he's built in his businesses. One of the books I read was Entree Leadership by him, which is really all encompassing. I'd highly recommend that one for somebody that's thinking about going entrepreneur.
Gotcha. So tell me a bit about elite medical training. This is something that you have had a passion for. It grew from it. To me, I see it, getting to know you, as really a hybrid of your background and working as a first responder to providing solutions. In entrepreneurship, we need to create a gain or solve a pain. So you provide a service that is needed, that is necessary. So tell me a bit about elite medical training, what it does, who it services, and why it's valuable.
Okay. So it's funny. I'm going to start with the original name that I rolled out in the EBA file was Elite Medical Solutions. So it kind of twofold. It was EMS was the profession I worked in, and then also I was providing solutions. That really is where Elite Medical came about. For me, it made perfect sense because I needed this training, for one, to get into the industry professionally. For two, we need continuing education to renew our licenses and certifications. We need to renew these certifications every couple of years as well as licenses. So these were all mandatory things that I need to do anyways. And as you know, we talked about it, you start adding in shift work, work schedules, family, kids, childcare. It can be pretty daunting to maintain all of these necessary certifications.
Right.
So that's where I found the pain point, the problems that needed to be solved for a lot of my coworkers, folks that I worked with. And I started, a lot of us will pick up extra work as well as trying to achieve, learn, get ahead, get more experience in our field. So then I became an instructor for all of these certifications. And then from an instructor to, hey, okay, this is how this is operating, but I see some room for improvement here. Better product we can put out, a better service. People don't love this class. They're showing up because they have to, not because they want to. Let's figure out a way to make this better. I started teaching for multiple other really large companies and training centers throughout Northern California, and I did a lot of traveling. And then I saw more and more things I could develop to what I felt, and I think my clients say the same, as a better product and service. My wife also works in healthcare. She's a respiratory therapist, so she's on the front lines with COVID, and she's also my client avatar to a T. She needs. We offer a whole gamut of services for certifications, everything from basic. Somebody like yourself, when you're working in the trades, it needs to be OSHA compliant, whether you just need basic first aid, AD, CPR cert. We call, like, on our corporate division, what you need to operate AED at a Costco, at a Walmart, and companies of service, all the way up to your higher upper echelon healthcare providers, up to nurses, doctors. And then in that case, there's 5 different certifications plus continuing education that you would need. And she needs all of those for her occupation. So she's nice to bounce things off of, and it makes it helpful. So that's what evolved into, hey, let's give this a shot. I think we can offer better service, better package. And it is completely evolved into that, where we really cater to, and our client avatar is busy healthcare providers. We take care of all their certifications, professional setting, get everything squared away, help them stay compliant. And we often will be busy. We keep talking about family again, but all these moms and these dads that call me in a panic, like, I've been working like crazy. My kids are so busy, as we all know. We hear that, and they come to me with huge problems. Like, literally, all my certifications are expiring, like, right now, this month, in a week, a couple days. Personal emergencies. I got to get all these done to keep my job, to continue to help people. So that's nice when you get somebody that's super like, look, we got it dialed in. We got classes every day. We get you plugged in, get them all hammered out, keep you compliant. Literally one-stop shop. That was our goal, was to be full service solutions for our medical professionals. So they can call us in a panic. Oh my God, I'm going to lose my job. And I know so many people that have, because of licensure expiration certifications. And we're able to literally just get that all fixed for them, get that all taken care of, get them in class, just, give them that peace of mind to really get back to life. And then they're good for 2 years. They got 2 more years to get back to us. And then we put a lot of systems in place. Unfortunately, I worked for larger EMS providers. It would actually sit on a system like their own CRM of expirations, and they would wait for these top step employees to have one of their 10 mandatory certifications expire, and then terminate them and rehire them at step 1. And it happened time and time and time. Even working as a union rep at a shop steward, we had 72 of those in 1 calendar year. That's how common it was. So I saw a lot of problems in the industry for myself and coworkers. So now we have systems in play to where we set out an entire drip campaign of reminders for expirations as well. So once you come to us as a client, we're going to take care of not only everything you need, but we're going to make sure you stay compliant, give you plenty of notice to get all your certifications and your continuing educations to where this shouldn't be a problem for you.
Wonderful. So you mentioned a couple things about being an instructor. You talked about, just briefly, they're making it a little more interesting for people. They have busy schedules, they have busy lives. I work in instruction too, as you know, and I try to make it entertaining, and that's important for retention. So childhood dream of mine was fulfilled my mid 30s. I got to go to Skywalker Ranch, which is really cool. I was a huge Star Wars fan, still am. And I was talking to my host up there, Milton, and I said, look, I said, I'm reading these studies that people only retain about 10% of what they learn in school by the time they go to career. 10%. He goes, Jeff, that's not true. It's less. I'm like, okay, you went to Harvard and Stanford, which are two schools I've definitely heard of. Milton Chin worked for Sesame Street. He was the number one guy for George Lucas for his Edutopia program. So he's really like top notch. So this is a feedback from someone who's not just some guy sitting on his hands. He goes, Jeff, it's less than. I'm like, okay, so $300,000, let's say, for those two schools. That's a rough low estimate because he's got his doctorate or PhD. And I said, that's like putting in 300,000 and 30,000's left. I said, if I packed your bags at O'Hare and you arrived at LAX and 90% of your stuff is missing, I'm thinking you're going to be a little bit upset, right? And we haven't really asked this thing in education. The reason I'm bringing up this story, other than it's just a fun, cool story, is that in your profession, it's like, hey, I'm learning this stuff, but I got to remember it. So if you can make it engaging, entertaining, make it fun. I remember all the words to Dumb and Dumber. I don't have to study for it. I can just rattle it off because it was interesting to me. It's funny, right? And that taps into a certain part of the brain. So in your line of work, it's very important that people don't just take this class. It's important that they recall the material because they're going to need it in very much an emergency situation. So it sounds to me like with elite medical training, you're already addressing ways that either naturally, maybe you did it directly or indirectly, but it sounds like you're hitting the money on the mark, is that you are focusing on clients actually enjoying it. Just by doing that alone, their retention level is going to be so much higher when that emergency situation does arise.
100%. There's a couple of things we hit on, and it really, a lot of it has to go with, the dread, the misery, the stress. And now we're going in really into anatomy and physiology. I kind of throw this out there, but, right? You have your central nervous system, you have your parasympathetic side, your feed or breathe, like the way the body functions to maintain homeostasis or to be healthy where you want to be. You have your sympathetic side, which when you say fight or flight, everybody knows what I'm talking about, right? When stress kicks in. The way that a lot of these classes came about were taught by doctors only, in a sense of, the doctors that were extremely hard on you and they weren't the friendliest. And the stress was so high to pass this just to maintain career, your license, your job. People, when I came into this, 20 years ago, this was a real thing that people were stressed out that were going to get these classes and were struggling and failing at a really high rate. And I attribute that to, with my little bit of knowledge and experience, is the fact that they spent that whole time in the sympathetic side and fight or flight. You're stressed literally when you're, the brain can't differentiate the true threat, right? When it's stress in a classroom versus a lion chasing you out on the Sahara. Like it works the same. You're not retaining anything other than run for my life, survive, and breathe. And that's it. So a lot of people went through class that way and retained little to nothing and struggled big time. And that is most definitely where our brand and our culture comes in, where we set people at ease. We really pride ourselves on low stress emergency training, right? It's kind of funny to try to put those words together and make sense of it. But when you come in as a student, you'll understand. And that's why we only have professional first responders and healthcare professionals teach these classes that have that real life experience. So we can blend both the mandatory criteria and the box that you have to check and hit, as well as with, okay, here is this, and this, and here's how we apply in real life. Here's a call. I just got off shift. I just ran this cardiac arrest. This is how it went, and even, hey, this happened, something. So I'll use that. I'll be able to tie in. Obviously, we're going to teach what we have to, but we're able to put people at ease. That's really how we started out, is with a story, with the joke, with something funny, break the ice, get people comfortable, so that they get in that parasympathetic side. They're not so stressed out that they can actually retain this stuff, right? And then then the statistics on education and instruction go up, where they see that having to do it in and then have them write it and then have them teach it. We go through all those steps to help retain it. Another thing this isn't just to our industry alone, but a lot of folks will get up on their soapbox and really, really just like to hammer it into folks, stroke their ego, which is just really unfortunate. So we really try to remove the ego from any of our instruction whatsoever, humble ourselves, and remember, like, we've all been there, or we've all been that person that's a little rusty or hasn't done something in a while or before. Take that into consideration with every student we have, and you would be amazed at how many people for 30 years even that come in so relief, like, I was so worried, I was, stressed out, because they're still stuck on that. So you put them at ease. That's the feedback we get, is that they retain a lot more coming out of our classes than they have the traditional model, we can call it, right, that there was of the past. And dealing with cognitive overload. It's already a stressful situation. You already have to be handling and juggling a lot. So I go through my systems and how I simplify things, my mental check sheets or checklists, and how it flows and the things I hit to help people. And it really works, especially with new students that are trying to get all this together. And I can just really break it down in simple, more consumable chunks for them. So that kind of is our business model, and for sure the culture and brand that we want to put out to our clients that keeps them coming back.
And I think about that from a consumer side, because as a behavioral therapist, I don't have to tell you I had to get certified. I've had to go through fingerprints. I've had to go through all that stuff. And I don't do that as a career anymore, but it's just good to have as far as parent training. We'll get into that in a second. I want to hear what type of audience is really the client avatar. I understand Danielle, being sort of the client avatar as far as an idea and her type of training. But is one thing I've noticed with what you're doing with elite medical training is you're not just checking boxes, right? It's like, okay, I got it done. I signed up. I took my driver's ed. I took something. I went to court. I paid my ticket. All these mandated things that we have to do, right? And it's so easy on your side to maybe just say, hey, we're just going to get them to make sure they have it. But you're taking that extra step. Your team is to make sure they have it with them in perpetuity. They have it with them in those situations. So I really like that. That would give me good reason as a consumer to purchase your services, to say, hey, look, I'm not looking to just check boxes. While I'm there, I'm going to be able to gather as much value as possible. But the reason that these are mandated is because real life situations do happen. It's not the state or whatever just trying to punish us. They're saying, hey, we need you to be prepared in these situations because a Matt Venema or somebody who is a trained first responder may not be there, right? Just like I take my training for my CCW. Look, I'd love if the officers could show up on time. I pray I never have to use it, but I'm trained how to use a firearm because there might be a situation that unfortunately might require me, God forbid, to have to use one, right? So you're doing the same thing. You're like saying, look, I'm training you all to be there in that situation that I may not be able to be there. But you're also identifying with saying, hey, look, I have been there. And these are the things that I've gone through, the situations. And I think people respond, you talk about with the brain, they respond with joy, they respond with pain. So sometimes even hearing about those painful situations that you've been in, and I'll train my team. They're like, and I'll hear them kind of quote, they're like, oh, it's not personal, it's just business. I said, no, don't say that. I said, let it be personal, but blow it out afterwards. But if you let it be personal and you're processing something, you've dealt with a difficult client, I want you to remember this situation. It's interesting. If we go and talk to ladies who are 50 years old, they'll remember the guy who broke their heart when they were 15. They probably know his address, right? They just know because it's in their brain. It's in that part of the brain. Something caused me pain. I don't want to go there again. So that's actually a teaching tool as well, saying, hey, but you can use that through your identity process. So you're still relieving the stress for them, but you're saying, hey, look, I've been through this. This was painful. This is why it happened. You're giving them education. You're giving them some entertainment, which I think could be good. Hey, let's make this let's make this enjoyable. That is so important in a world full of education where you can have that dry professor just stand up there saying, hey, all right, we got 8 hours, everybody. We're just going to get you through this class. if I come on this thing and I just sound all monotone and I don't say stupid jokes, and people are not going to want to listen to my podcast, right? They're not going to listen to when I do interviews. So that's the difference, is in a world that's full of so much information, we have such low attention spans. How do we keep someone's attention? So tell me a little bit about your audience. Like, give me what types of industries you work with, what type of people you work with, who besides someone like me would come in and hire your services.
Okay. Yeah. So we really have two different divisions under elite medical training. One is our healthcare division, which are our medical professionals. And then the other is our corporate division, which is going to be the trades, blue collar, large corporations, right? Some of them that are mandated. I say these things like your Costco's and your Walmarts. They need to have AEDs, need to have first aid kits, certain levels of OSHA, state compliance. Those are really like our two different ones. Also, we can do church groups, we'll do schools, youth sports organizations, both officials, coaches. So those are the two different branches and divisions. So on the corporate side, we take care of that. Another really nice thing that translates and something we offer that sets us apart from some of our competitors in the industry, when we're teaching CPR, first aid, AED use to lay personnel, non-medical professionals, is I go into this corporate setting. This is a business that needs this mandated, yes. But there are things that get when I show up for my teams, we're trained professionals that do this. One is, hey, you may be already ran an emergency here, or we open up with, hey, we're local EMTs, firefighters, paramedics, etc. There's a chance if you guys call 911, not only am I going to train you on this and have this knowledge, but we could very well be the professionals that show up to run this 911. So we can teach it, tie in everything, and then we open it up to, hey, have you guys had an emergency here? If so, what was it? How'd you handle it? How'd it go? Let's work through that, because a lot of people question themselves, or it was stressful and terrible. Maybe that's why we're there now, because they had something go wrong and they want to be prepared so it doesn't happen again, where they can help mitigate it and be more useful in that moment of emergency. So we really get to tie all that in, and even mitigate target hazards, safety issues. We add that as a complimentary service to them. And we also do business inspections professionally as firefighters. So we can walk around and just give a free assessment of, hey, that's a safety violation, that's a safety violation. So you get a really high quality, fully inclusive package with us, especially on that corporate side. The standard to become a trainer for CPR and first aid is pretty low. The entry level into that is pretty low. Anybody could do it. A multitude of secretarial staff do it across the country because it's a side hustle. It's extra money, which is great and good for them, or maybe that was a story. But there aren't that many that are actually running these calls as 911. Running these 911 calls as professionals that are bringing all that. So we bring all of that experience, that knowledge, and that complementary package that very few people can compete with over time. So that's our corporate division. Our healthcare division starts with, at the lower levels, certified nursing assistants, emergency medical technicians. And what they'll need is the basic life support, which is CPR for healthcare providers, right? So that's our entry level initial service side. And then I need that to get into any of the allied medical health sciences. So they want to go to an EMT program, they want to go to a nursing program, respiratory program, any of these allied health medical programs, they'll need that entry level cert even before they're certified to apply. So it starts there. And then again, we teach everybody all the way up into physicians. I've taught advanced cardiac life support to cardiologists, several. I've taught emergency pharmacology to pharmacists. So I find myself in a unique situation when I'm, my formal education isn't that expansive, especially compared to a doctor or pharmacist. But here I am, I still find myself coaching and educating both physicians, cardiologists, and pharmacists in their exact, trade, which is kind of cool and unique. And we bring that. That's something that not everybody can do or bring with the experience that we have on our staff. So we go from our basic certification for those individuals, and then we have a few of our advanced certifications. There's a handful: advanced cardiac life support, pediatric advanced life support. So anybody that needs that, what we call PALS, that acronym, would be anybody in the emergency room as you deal, young, old, any. And then individuals that work up on floors in different units, if they're working in like a NICU or a pediatric unit, that. Then another one they'll need is NRP, Neonatal Resuscitation Protocol, right? And that has to do with high risk newborns, delivery. So, right, individuals working in OB, NICU, and this would be your registered nurses, physician's assistants, nurse practitioners. Well, my wife is a respiratory therapist, as well as physicians, right? So those are the avatar individuals that need that. And then we also have a state-approved curriculum and the ability to give continuing education, both by the Board of Nursing, which covers almost all healthcare, and then also an EMS, so emergency medical services side, CE provider. So what that does, we can take those with our training and then do renewal packages. So both certification and licensure renewal. So it truly is a full service, one-stop shop for these healthcare providers. So that, hopefully I answered that on our avatar on the healthcare side. It's really expansive and there's a lot.
Right.
And they need one, two, three, four, or five of our services and somewhere in between.
Wonderful. Matthew, we're going to be coming to a close here, but I wanted to mention something. You know, you and I have a lot of respect for vets. We have a lot of respect for our country. This is our home. On behalf of people out here and for your service, I want to thank you for your service. I know there's people out there that have air in their lungs literally because of what you guys do on a daily basis. So I just wanted to thank you for it. And you do it as, I know, because it's your duty, but there's people out there that have life because of what you guys are doing. The people that you've trained and equipped, basically discipled and mentored on teaching them how to be first responders, in a sense of having that training and being ready for those situations. I want to thank you for that as well. You provide something that's more than a business. You provide a service that's really needed in our society. And same with your wife too, but anybody that's out there that's doing something that's providing life, I have a lot of respect for, just like our military that help make sure that we have lives and we have free enterprise. Like I thank them, hey, thank you. This whole free enterprise of entrepreneurship is nice. Thank you for that, because I wouldn't have it otherwise, right? So I just wanted to extend our gratitude on that. But I also wanted to give you the opportunity, if you could, to close us out here, but let me know of how could we reach you. Give me the website and a phone number of how we can get in touch with Elite Medical Training.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find us on most social medias. Our website's going to be Elite Medical Training, ELITE, elitemedicaltraining.com. And then phone numbers 888-713-0455. And we have locations both in the Modesto area in Northern California. And we have two down in Southern California, both in Encino and Whittier. And we also are mobile and travel. So we'll bring our services to groups, whether it's dental offices, surgery centers. So we have instructors that will travel pretty much throughout the state as well to serve clients. So any questions anybody has that come across this, reach out to us.
If someone's out of state, like let's say I'm from Texas here, right, or Nevada, and I'm coming in, would it be okay to contact if I have a consultation question? Like you can kind of direct me. So even if I'm in somewhere else in the United States, I can still contact and reach out to you, correct?
100%. And that's something that we built upon from the beginning. We actually have, especially travel, nursing, and medical staff, and COVID really gave us a good touch of that. Is we had a bunch of our clients end up in New York, end up in Jersey, end up all over, and calling us in a panic. And with COVID, luckily, we had some virtual solutions and stuff too that we were able to ship and still take care of them with certification, keep them compliant while they were literally working in these COVID wards and ICUs, helping folks. We try to extend that in very much a free consultation type to our client, the exact same way that you do with Alpha Media. So you offer the continuous coaching, consulting, and all that around the clock to all your clients. We do that same thing for those businesses. We're like, hey, if something comes up, you have a question, we absolutely extend that as part of our service to all of our clients. And all of our certifications are nationwide as well. So anybody out of state or across the country, we can still take care of.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Matt. Thank you for taking the time today. It was an honor speaking with you. We're blessed to have you and working with us as a client. So we'll be talking to you soon. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.